everyone doing? Welcome to the final episode of After the After Hours with your boy TraderPrad. The final day of this week is tomorrow going to be a free fall Friday. Now get ready for tomorrow. Powell going on the microphone. Powell going on the microphone again. Get ready for tomorrow. So I do have a watch list ready, but if you guys are ready, hit that like and subscribe. Hit that like and subscribe. Thank you guys for all the love. Thank you guys for all the support. This is your boy TraderPrad. TraderPrad. But if you guys are ready for this show to get started, why don't we dive into the full screen and hit that like and subscribe. Buttons are not working again, chat. We're having this issue again. Let me try restarting this software real quick. Oh, and the music's probably really loud too, because usually those buttons automatically bring down the music for me. But here, we're gonna bring down the music ourselves. Our automation's lagging, but we know who's not lagging. It's your boy TraderPrad, and hopefully not my internet, because that's more important. If the internet's lagging, then we're all lagging over here. How are you guys doing today? Welcome to another episode. It's Tuesday. Market was I guess it was hot. We did have a little bit of a rally on the market later half in the day, mostly thanks to the king of the party, NVIDIA. Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, coming out and saying that he is done selling his, I think he had $713 million of NVIDIA that he was looking to sell, and he's done selling fully at this point. So NVIDIA making a monster rally off of that catalyst. You had China cutting interest rates and pouring monster bullish catalysts out there for the next few years, showing that their economy is also turning around after you know, the big problems that COVID kind of started everything. COVID put the markets into problems, the world into problems, economy into problems, and we've been kind of having to deal with it. We recently had our 50 beeps rate cut. China coming out with the rate cut today, taking stocks like Baidu, JD, Pinduoduo, Baba, FXI, which is the Chinese ETF, all to the upside. Then you had the XLF sector, the banking sector, actually pull back from those all-time highs that we were talking about. So banking sector was a little weak. So lots to talk about, not enough time. So let's quickly say hi to all the wonderful people that we got in the chat today. We got TH, number one as always. I love to see you in the house, TH. We also got Dieter in the house. What's up, Dieter? Victor, what's up, Victor? We saw Victor in the morning talking about some of the Chinese stocks while I was day trading. So honestly, I wasn't paying too much attention, but I was chiming in anytime I was able to, throw in some comments in the chat, but you know, paying attention all the time, just in a peripheral way, because I'm focused in my trades usually right off the open, but love having someone in the background while I'm listening, while I'm trading. So if it's music, Might as well have someone who's talking about markets. So I have Victor H investing in the market. Super down. What does that even mean, Nighthawk? We're saying that the market's gonna go super down. If that's the case, let's go, baby, because that's gonna get me excited. You see today's thumbnail, it's a boxer, me boxing the bulls. So I want to fight these bulls. Let's get these bulls back to the downside. Victor's obviously in the house. Victor's saying that that song gives me street cred. I'll take it. It's not made by me, but it is made by a wonderful viewer. It's made by Dieter. Thank you, Dieter, for hooking us up with all music that you hear throughout the stream. Every single beat that you hear throughout the stream is made by Dieter, and also the intro, obviously made by Dieter. Victor saying China stocks are the hot topic. Yes, as I was mentioning, lots of big movers in the Chinese sector. The catalyst really changing, I guess. If the Chinese economy is getting better, then maybe economy is actually heading in the right direction and we don't have to think about recession, and the market just keeps on climbing to the north side. So people like me who are looking for the shorts, Timothy Charlemagne over here, sorry, what did I call him? Timothy Bearlemagne? Whatever. This little bear guy over here is not going to be pretty happy with the most recent market activity if it is to the upside. Prad, I felt like crap lately, so I haven't been around. Still do. I don't feel like doing anything. Only dropping in to top off Zim since it's a critical price high. You know what, Momo? You actually should have been here on Victor's streams a couple days ago, because he was talking about how he made, I thought, don't help me say this number right. Maybe it is 8 grand on the Zim up move, or 18 grand, or maybe 80 grand. I don't remember exactly what the number was, but I'm thinking 8 grand or so Victor made on that up move to the north side on Zim. So he took advantage of it. We do know that you love Zim quite a bit, and Momo, I think you would love Victor's streams, because Victor, on my most recent podcast that we did last Sunday, Victor said his biggest underdog was Pfizer, which is actually one of Momo's favorite stocks. So Momo, Victor is on your side over here. He picked Pfizer as his underdog. He owns Ford, if I remember correctly, and he traded Zim, or invested in Zim, and profited off of it. So hey, Momo, Victor's your guy. You should go check him out on his streams for sure. He streams every morning, Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. Almost at 8 a.m. at 9 a.m. Nvidia, a hot topic. That was a hot chick on the market, but not really off the open. Off the open, really what you saw was the market flushing. Tesla was looking strong for a little bit, and then Tesla flushed too. Microsoft looked really weak. We got below 430. A couple stocks, Apple looked weak too right off the open. Palantir flushed quite a bit. I had a nice trade on Palantir today. We'll show you that one. So market really pulled back, but then later on in the day, Nvidia news catalyst dropped in. Nvidia volume started ramping up. Nvidia is now doing more volume than it did off the open. So big catalyst to just simply get long on Nvidia over there as soon as that news catalyst came out. So yeah, for sure, the hot girl on the market. Oh, that box cut off. That's awkward. Oh, hold up. Boom. Good evening, Prad. I had one trade today, and I was lucky to get out with a small profit on Nvidia short. Ooh, counter trend on an Nvidia short. Okay, that's 2 days now that you had a counter trend on Nvidia. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. And you made profits on both days. I mean, shout out to you. Good job, John. I love to hear that. Going counter trend is not usually suggested or an easy thing to do, so if you're able to do it and make profits, I always love to hear it, because that's a trade setup that I usually go for. I usually go for you know, pullbacks, counter trend trades. Let's start with showing you guys my trades on the day today, going with Palantir. Palantir off the open, as I mentioned, flushed off the open. We rejected basically. Remember yesterday, last night's stream, I told you guys we need to see characteristics changing, and now we're kind of getting that characteristics change coming into play. We didn't really take out Monday's high. We pushed into Monday's high areas, but we weren't able to take out Monday's high on the stock at all. So pushing off the open to the downside, and then straight straight flush to the downside, at which point I waited for pullbacks to get short into. I watched how this pullback got flushed right away, so on the next pullback I start taking some size. Then I add on the breakdown over here, looking for a move into yesterday's low, Monday's low, which was right around 36.57. And as we push into there and show me some stalling, I take some profits out, then I add those profits back. I would have ideally loved for the stock to give me a pullback right back into VWAP. We don't really get that, but I'm noticing that the breakout area, if you just draw a horizontal flat line right where the breakout is, that's where the rejection starts coming into position. So I start adding back into the trade, risking these little tops as my risk area. Easy risk to reward. I'm able to get another leg down right into yesterday's low and a little bit past yesterday's low, but you can see how the buying just keeps pouring into this position right around that 36.50 area, at which point we do manage to bounce going into the end of the day over here on Palantir. So nice little quick short trade for myself. Wasn't able to get in off the opening drive. Had this pullback been a little bit higher on the opening drive, I would have been able to catch that short, but sadly the pullback was much lower, so we were only able to scalp our profits on here. At the end of the day, a win's a win. The bank doesn't care how the money comes into the account as long as it comes into the account, right? So shout out to Palantir for helping us out on the day over here. Another trade that we were looking to trade, Snowflake. We were mainly looking to play around 107 area, but the stock bounced off of 107 into the pre-market. Snowflake taking $2 billion worth of debt. And that debt is basically due in 2029, so it's not really an extremely major bearish catalyst, right? It could be weak enough to not be bullish for the next few weeks, next few months, next few years, but it's not an extremely bearish catalyst that the stock needs to take out the all-time low and actually get below 107. So I waited patiently to see how the stock trades right off the open. We go into that 113 area and then immediately flush off that 113. Then we pull back and I'm noticing we're stalling into 112 area. So I figured, okay, let's get short into 112, give it a dollar risk into 113. It goes against me immediately after I get short. So now I'm watching it patiently, seeing what happens. Is it going to stop me out at 113? But then I see this little consolidation box, a fight between a buyer and a seller taking place on this position. Every time we pop up, we get stuffed back down. Every time we get stuffed back down, we pop back up. So I figured, okay, let me just take the breakout of this consolidation, because whoever's fighting for the long here, if they are wrong, they're most likely going to punch out on the way down over here, and I'm going to be able to capitalize on them being wrong. But if I'm wrong, I just take my stop and I just take my one lot size hit and I move on. Eventually the stock does play out the way I want it to. It breaks that consolidation lows. It keeps on flushing, at which point I add. I should have added over here too. I don't add. I hesitate on that, but then I'm very quick to now take out my shares on the way down. Over here, I get baited into getting into the trade again, and I do, and then that takes away some of my profits. Still green on the stock today. Not that I turned it red, but this would have been a way bigger win had I just cut the trade completely and then just tried to make a new trade out of this, or maybe not even take this trade really, because the characteristics of the stock is changing. We are bouncing from pre-market lows. 110 was exactly yesterday's low. 107 is much lower. Yeah, it would be nice for the stock to go into 107 for a day trade, but you know, expecting that is crazy, because the catalyst is not really an immediate short-term bearish catalyst, right? It could be bearish over the long term, depending on what they're doing with the debt. Are they just using this debt to pay off bills, to keep the lights on, or are they actually using this debt that they're taking on and they're, you know, putting it into technology, putting it into research, R&D, research and development? Are they buying out other companies that actually helps them in the future? So that's gonna come in the later phases, and this is not as bearish enough for the stock to take out the all-time low of the 117. And that's why you'll see also in the after hour yesterday, when the stock actually flushed off that catalyst, we bounced pretty much off of that 109 107 area. Boom, right off of that 107 we bounce, we start holding above 109, and today you can see how the low was pretty much to the dot yesterday's low. Yesterday's low was 109.91, today's low 109.89. So pretty much monster rejection off of that area. If you were looking for the bullish reason to get on the stock, you could have just waited for that tickle and then gone long on the position right back to the north side. That could have also been a play if you were looking for. Snowflake, however, I was being bearish, so I tried to take a quick advantage on it. If you guys have watched me been bearish about Palantir the last few days, you know how bearish I was about Apple. So Apple was one of the stocks that actually flushed a straight flush from the opening high, or sorry, the day's high, to pretty much into that hourly low, the Monday low, into 226 area, 225.50 area, sorry, 225.80 area. So straight flush into that level. That could have given you a pretty good long if you were watching for it, but because of how bearish I was and I wanted to get ready for another leg down on Apple, but I knew that the other leg down on Apple would only play out if the QQQ and the SPY would crack down. So that's why I didn't really take the breakout over here, because at that time Qs were going up, SPY was going up. Maybe that should have been enough of a reason for me to flip my bias long, because now my risk is very much defined. We're bouncing off of a very much of a big technical level. That's one ATR of a move from top to bottom. All things are you know, my moon, my sun, my retrograde, my Mars, my Jupiter, my Venus, my Uranus, you know, everything's lining up together, and I just wasn't able to flip the bias to the long side over here. Had I done that, it was an easy ride to the north side back to VWAP. However, I'm very patient looking for a short over here. That short does start working out, but there goes Nvidia rallying the market, carrying the market on its back, as it has done so before, carrying the market on its back, at which point Apple basically chops around VWAP over here, not really allowing me to make any pesos off of that trade. So losing trade over here on Apple for me. My only 3 real trades on the day. Little positive day for me, because Apple and I had a trade on Nvidia, but that trade is almost irrelevant. But overall, a little bit of a positive day, but Apple and Nvidia took away some of my money that I made on Snowflake and Palantir, sadly. But risk to reward ratio, that's all that matters. If you're risking 1 unit of risk per ticker and you're making you know, 2 units, 3 units of reward per winner, then every time you get 1 win, you're basically washing away 2 losers, 3 losers. So even if I have a win ratio of 2 winners to 2 losers, 50%, I'm winning. Even if I have a 40% winning ratio, I'm still making some money. So that's my golden rule over there. Always aim for risk to reward ratios. Always aim for risk to reward. Now, if we continue to our main segment of the stream, which is talking about stocks that we have on our watch list, before I do that, let me quickly see what we got going on in the chat over here. Looks like Victor wants to work with Dieter. Dieter, I know you already replied to him, so hopefully you guys get connected. If not, I can connect you guys with each other through Discord. I know Victor uses Discord. Yeah, I remember I made the stonks intro. That's right, Victor did make the stonks intro. For those of you who remember from the stonks.com days. Rest in peace. Rest in 8K in 8 months, 50% return on Zim investment for Victor. So shout out to him on that Zim investment. Let's quickly go check out where Zim is now. I haven't looked at Zim in a long time. Oh baby, what a chart. What a chart. I mean, you could have played this range so many times. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And now getting ready to potentially break out of this area and ride even more higher? Is that even a possibility for this position? Let's see if it actually plays out that way. I mean, now I have to have this one on my watch list for a day trade, right? Volume is going up intraday. Oop, I don't want to add it over there. I'll add it right below Palantir, actually. I'll add it right below Palantir. Let's add Zim to the watch list real quick. We got Victor with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Victor, for the $5 super chat. Appreciate the support, my friend. Thank you. Best. You're the best. Victor, do you see anything in MOMO? The ticker MOMO at $7.15. My stocks had the best day in months. Of course it did. TH always screaming bearish, but he's low-key bullish in the background. He's always bullish in the background. TH, you're like a lying bear. You're the one that screams wolf at the top of the mountain, but really you're the one sending in the wolves. Okay, really quick, I want to talk about Zim because Zim is awesome. Zim getting ready to take out this 24 breakout most likely. If we get a little bit of a consolidation and a breakout past this, I think Zim will have a lot of expansion. If I remember correctly, Zim has a decent amount of short float. So let me quickly head over to Finviz, type in Zim. What is your short flow? 17%. That's not small. Usually you'll see stocks with red in color if they're really short. For example, we got PLCE with a 58% short float. Zim with a 17%. That's a decent amount of short float. Their shares is about, if I remember just seeing it, 120 million shares. That's not a lot, right? So this could easily catch some traction, some wind, and volume is picking back up on this position. The 50-day, sorry, not the 50-day. I think that's the 20-day moving average on the volume is at 5.4 million shares. The 30-day average volume is at 6 million shares. Today and yesterday, we basically brought in 10 million plus shares each day. So very, very active right now. And I think this stock has not been talked about on my company floor at all for a day trading opportunity. So this could be one of those hidden opportunities that I'm glad you guys have been talking about on the chats over here. Going to keep this one on watch for sure. This 24 level, very interesting. It's actually 2388, but I also have a purple line at 2512. I'm guessing that's the last year's high. It is the last year's high. So $25.12 is the last year's high. Potentially could see some resistance around those areas. I mean, if you pull out on, zoom out on the, when in doubt, zoom out. Shout out to Miss Vio for that one. If you just zoom out a little bit, you can see how this consolidation high is basically the last year high they're talking about, I'm guessing. Yeah, this is last year's high. That's 2020 high. This stock is getting interesting. Watching this one without a doubt. Palantir. So characteristics are finally changing. We're now testing Monday's low. If we start getting below Monday's low, that's going to possibly take us into this consolidation area, and that break of this low really puts in the bottom, or the top, sorry, I should say the top, really puts in the top for this position. So looking forward to see how we can get below 35.60, if we can actually get below 35.60 over here on Palantir and have that right down to the south side. I, on my personal account, actually have some puts on Palantir. My puts are priced in at 36.50, so I'm expecting the stock go down to at least $32 going into Friday, or those puts are basically dying worthless, sadly. So let's see how this happens right into this daily support area into 35.56. It's 35.66, but I'm just gonna say 35.50. Watching how the stock behaves going into that level. Quickly go into the 5-minute chart and see what that price actually is. It's 35.56, so basically 35.50. Watching how we behave going into this last week's low area. A break below last week's low really opens the downside room, as there's going to be new price discovery on this position. We had one consolidation and then one small consolidation here. Everything in between is just noise. So I'm expecting the supply to get more than the demand, because the demand was basically because of the S&P 500 run up. So the demand to come down and the supply to increase, at which point we're gonna go test the next possible big demand zone, which was this swing low around $33.60. So watching how Palantir behaves for us off of today's low, which was also Monday's low. So today's low slash Monday's low going into 35.50, and getting below 35.50, we can really hammer down the short on Palantir. for someone like Victor, potentially getting ready to add on some sort of a characteristics change like that, and getting ready to, you know, bring the stock all the way back into the downside. I know Victor has a way bigger picture short planned on this position, and then for those of you interested, please do go check him out at 9 a.m. Monday to Friday. I think everyone streams Monday to Thursday because I stream Monday to Thursday. Why stream Friday? I mean, I guess I stream after hours, so that's why. Intel, a little bit of nothing burger, I'd say. It had an inside day for the most part. We did take out Monday's high, but I'm just gonna call it an inside day. A little bit of a nothing burger day here on Intel. My eye is really bugging me out. So not sure what I want to do with this one. If I am looking at semiconductor positions, I'm sorry, it's not going to be Intel. It's going to be Nvidia, Micron, TSM, and AVGO. So if I'm looking for the semiconductor stocks, I'm looking at these names overall. I'm going to ignore Intel unless another catalyst comes out that, hey, Qualcomm is actually coming out and buying out Intel or something along those lines. If it's not, then whatever. I'm not really going to even bother looking for a trade on it. Micron, that is interesting because, where am I typing? Hello? Micron is interesting because you know, we had a solid consolidation on this position, and now we're finally getting ready to use the consolidation highs as support. $92. It's actually $92.50 now, which was Monday's low, which was also today's low. So $92.50 acting as a pretty solid support on Micron, but I would be ready to give it all the way down to $92 to test for support. If we start trading under 92, start holding under 92, then I'd start looking to take the loss on this position. So anywhere from 92 to 92.50, look to see if you can get an opportunity to get long again, especially with this run up that the semiconductor stocks have had today. If you look at SMH, up 1.86% on the day, big run up. Most of it is shout out to Nvidia and AVGO, which are, if I remember correctly, the top two tickers in the semiconductor basket. Might be wrong by quoting that. Sometimes they do change the weightages, so I might be wrong in saying that, but if I remember correctly, Nvidia and AVGO should be the top two in that sector. So if I am looking for a trade on the semiconductor, Micron, as we said, 92 to 92.50. AVGO, I'm looking more on the opposite direction. So I was waiting for 177 to come into play. Looks like we are going to get a taste of that price. I'm just going to set an alert over here going into 177. Hello, price alert. Thank you. Just going into 177 there and trigger, because you can see how big of a solid resistance right there that position was. That's the all-time high into 185. The earnings sell-off was pretty drastic, and then we have a complete reversal taking us into higher highs past the earnings day report low. So I'm pretty surprised over here on the stock as to seeing the strength behind it. Let's see if 177 gives us a short opportunity. It's very simple. If it starts holding above 177, then you're not really looking for a short on the stock. Where is my watch list? Where is AVG? Oh, there you are. So 177 is going to be looking for resistance, but if 177 does not reject and we start holding above 177, then it's an easy long going into most likely all-time high at that point. So be very cautious on the short side if we are holding above it. Next semiconductor I have is Nvidia. Obviously, beautiful hold on Nvidia. Off seems to be, we have a white line over here around 166.22. Yeah, 166.22, bouncing or holding around that area. Also multiple anchored VWAP confluence coming into that area too. So you have the all-time high anchored VWAP, you have the August low anchored VWAP, you have the earnings anchored VWAP, all of them coming around that exact same price. And these are three major, most significant, closest time events, And the fact that all three of them are around this solid pocket where the stock has been trading at, and they have a good catalyst coming out for it to now blast off of this support area. Any pullbacks into these ranges, you're looking for a long off of this area. But if we start trading below this range and actually start seeing selling below this range, that is a recipe for bad things on Nvidia. So be careful for that. I, however, don't think the stock will get below 115 very quickly for the next few weeks based on how this action has played out. This action, I mean, it could have been as Nvidia CEO was selling this whole time, and even with all that selling, the stock didn't really flush a whole lot to the downside. So now we could see maybe more buying coming into this position. Market already looking hella strong at the moment. I mean, poor bears crying and getting knocked out by the bulls every single second at the moment, just getting knocked out. So looking for support on every single pullback on Nvidia. Ideally, I don't want to see Nvidia below 119, 120 tomorrow if I'm thinking long. If it does get below 119, 120, there could be a move into 116, but then at that point, expecting more than 116, more than 115 to the downside is also ridiculous. So why would you be basically going short into a brick wall that you know that might very easily just stand there and not really move, right? So we want to be careful going into those type of trading situations. You never want to go into a wall. You want clear space. So shorting up here for a move down here makes sense, but shorting in here for a move in here or expecting it to go even lower is just craziness. It's just craziness. You want to wait for that break to happen and see the stock reject on any pullback for it to have a big move down. That's the goal over there for the downside if you're looking for it. TSM. I guess TSM had a good day because of the rest of the Chinese sector, even though Taiwan is not part of China. Now watch my internet get absolutely hijacked. Everything in my house is going to now start turning off and on all of a sudden. Anything that says made in China just automatically blows up like the Israel pager incident happened. Imagine that happens. You know how many things we have at home that are probably, let's say made in China? Is this made in China? Most likely, right? How many things do we have that are electronic that say that are made in China? If China ever invades USA or Canada or goes to war, how easy would it be for them to just ramp up your phone's battery heating capacity and have that blow up in your pocket? I'm just saying. We've seen it happen right now. We've seen it happen right now in war, how far people are willing to go. If you have a Chinese EV car in USA, you know how easy it is for them to just turn on the car to just speed to the extent, to the car's extent, and not even brake, and you just run into a wall, right? So TSM, not part of China. Hopefully my things don't get, if I die tomorrow, I did not kill myself, okay? I did not kill myself. TSM making a move with the whole Chinese catalyst most likely, with the semiconductor catalyst also behind it, pouring some juice, 4% to the north side today for TSM. So waiting to see on any pullback, how the pullbacks behave. Today's low is going to be a pretty solid price to keep an eye on. So 177, if we do get a sell off all the way back into 177, watching to see how the stock reacts off of that. It says today's VWAP is 180.60. I'm just going to bring that range into 180 to 180.50 area to see if the stock can stay above it. If today's VWAP shows support, then there could be a possible day 2 move on TSM. But if today's VWAP does not hold as a support, then expecting an explosive day 2 move going into today's high and taking out today's high will be ridiculous. So you want to be careful with your expectations depending on where the stock is pulling back into. If it pulls back into today's low, then most likely we got to move back into today's VWAP. Most likely today's VWAP is lining up with yesterday's VWAP, and we just wiggle around that area for the rest of the day. Very, very often I've seen this setup playing out. So watching how TSM sets up around 180 off the open. If 180 has a very sharp bounce off the open, then that sets up a recipe for a run into today's high. Then we can possibly break out of today's high for an even big run up past here. Let me actually draw it out for you on the chart. instead of just kind of explaining it with my hands and so on, because this would possibly, you guys will understand a little bit better this way. Okay, imagine this is the open. So the stock opens around today's high, flushes into today's VWAP, immediately bounces, right? And then it has something like this, then it wiggles into today's high, and then it breaks out for another leg up. This is where you get long once it bounces from this 180 area, okay? Once it bounces from that 180 area, that is kind of where you look to get long, and then you could look to add on the dips. If the stock is having a consolidation, tight consolidation, then you can look to take the breakout. If the stock is not having a tight consolidation and just pulls back after rejecting into today's high, then you can look to cut the trade right around this area. So this is the ideal setup for me. We open around today's close, or today's high, the same thing. It's not that far out. Today's close and today's high is pretty much the same price. We open around this area, we pull back into 180, we rip off of that 180, maybe even we hold 179 and we rip off of the 179, setting up for a move into today's high, and then we consolidate into today's high for a breakout above today's high. So TSM very much could set up for a beautiful pattern that I've seen very often if we bounce off of here. If we don't bounce off of this and we just trickle all the way into today's low, then most likely today's VWAP is going to be right around yesterday's VWAP, and we're just going to whip back up and stock most likely just go sideways like that. So that is another opportunity, but you have to be patient for that 177 low to come into play. I'm also going to add 180 as a inflection point for me to keep an eye on, because that was yesterday's VWAP. What are we doing? Next one, TSM. I want to talk about Chinese sectors. So let's talk about the China sectors a little bit. Obviously, China, big catalyst coming out with their econ data, with their inflation rates battle, dropping their interest rates by 50 beeps, I believe, and citing really bullish catalyst for the future also. So all things pouring into most of these Chinese positions. You can actually just take a look at FXI. This is a Chinese ETF. Average 30-day volume 35 million shares. Today's volume 167 million shares. This is an ETF that barely gets traded. Look at the liquidity on this position, right? Barely gets traded. But today, you had a monster breakout and a big move to the upside, going into a 2023 August high from 2023 basically coming into play for this ETF, showing you the strength behind most of these stocks: BABA, JD, Pinduoduo, Baidu. Pinduoduo was one of the most beat down names in the Chinese sector, even after reporting a positive earnings catalyst. So after having some support, anyone who was short in this area most likely getting stopped out, giving the stock a little bit more juice. And Pinduoduo was ridiculously strong, because I was actually looking at Pinduoduo on the hourly chart. Let me see if I can pull in one of my charts here for you guys. I was looking at Pinduoduo on the hourly chart, and I was actually getting ready to short this area, this earnings day high of 111.68. But with the strength that the stock had right off the open, I said, Prad, you would be an idiot shorting into this position here. Do not do it. And boy, am I glad for not taking that trade. Because look at the stock today. Now it's basically turning the August earnings day high into a support on the hourly chart. You can see how the next few hours after that big volatile move up candle hourly chart, you have the next few hourly candles basically going into 111, why do I keep saying 117? 111, 112, and bouncing off of that price point. So tomorrow, if we do have any pullback on this position on Pinduoduo. I don't want to see it below this 111.68, 111.50 area at all. If we do get below this area, then it's a no-brainer short for me all the way back into 107 and on this position. So pretty straightforward opportunities on Pinduoduo for me. Either you hold above that hourly support that you created today after breaking out, or you get below it, creating that room back to the downside into today's low around 107.60 or so. Pretty obvious areas that you can spot on. If you were to go on BABA, sadly they don't have that clear of a catalyst, or not catalyst, sorry, but of a range for us to play with. So the only real level that I have on BABA that I'm going to be watching will be today's VWAP and today's low. How does the stock react going into today's VWAP? How does the stock react going into today's low? Is there buying? Is there selling? I'm going to be watching the tape very closely. Do we actually gap up and go into $100 and open up somewhere into $100? So all of that indications, sorry, not all of those things will be playing a factor for me to start thinking about a trade on BABA. But Pinduoduo, much cleaner chart. The higher we are above 112, the easier the long is on Pinduoduo. There's been so many people who've been looking to buy the dip on the stock, and they'll be pouring in onto the stock. Temu has been making a shit ton of money. So I'll be watching this one without a doubt. JD also not the cleanest setups as Pinduoduo is, in my opinion, but watching it. And Baidu, don't really care about Baidu because the liquidity in Baidu is a little bit shittier. The stock has been, it has a lot of struggle to the upside. So I don't really want to, as I said, you don't want to fight walls to the upside, and this stock just has insane amount of walls to the upside. JD has a much cleaner setup. It's got a lot of room to the upside if it does take out this most recent swing high. If we do take out that high, JD's got a lot of room to the upside. So JD kind of makes the watch list more than Baidu over here for those of you who are looking to day trade. But Baidu now no longer really a $200 position. Oop, did not mean to do that. No longer a $200 position. So if you are looking to trade it, you can look to put the same amount of risk or opportunity maybe, but I just don't like to trade a stock that just has so much brick walls that you're running into. Why hit your head against the wall when you can just have a open sky trade? An open sky trade is much easier. Okay. NIO, says John Vaughn. Yeah, okay. I didn't even think about these EV names at all. So NIO should be possibly on the watch list now. That's a beautiful breakout of $5.66. Another one possibly, XPEV and Li Auto. Wow, I forgot about these names completely. Look at Li Auto, 11% to the upside. Yeah, man, I love seeing this. Look at Li Auto today. I mean, these are possibly immediate shorts. The higher these stocks go, the easier the shorts are on this position. XPEV into $11, possibly having a resistance, and you can look to ride the stock back to the downside. But if we start holding above 11, that opens up room over here on this position. So watching XPEV, NIO looks like we actually broke out to the north side after consolidating really well. So that one is much bullish than XPEV. And NIO is looking more bullish than XPEV. And I think this one could easily have a little bit ride up. So I'm not going to mess with a short on this one. Anytime you see a consolidation like this, if you're basically closing off the room to the downside, because you see that there was a fight and the fight clearly has a resolution, and the resolution was to the upside. So the room is being sealed off to the downside. So if you get short, expecting anything lower than this bottom is ridiculous. So I'm not really looking to do that. But with XPEV, you can see how extended it is. This is a pretty extended move, all the way from $6.55. We're now into $10 without really any consolidation, right? That, I guess you could call that consolidation, but we just chopped to the upside. Over here is the real consolidation. the most recent consolidation. So this is almost a one-shot move over here on XPEV, and anything extended is eventually bound to revert, mean reversion, eventually bound to revert. So I'm looking to see how much higher XPEV goes, because the higher this goes, the juicier the short gets. You want to be careful with this idea though, because if NIO keeps climbing up, and if I remember correctly, NIO is the ringleader. NIO basically controls the EV sector for Chinese names, and if that one keeps going higher, it could pour some sympathy fuel into XPEV, and it could cause it to go higher too. So you want to be pretty careful trying to do this theory. Just because I said short 11 doesn't mean it's a short at 11. You want to see the stock struggling around 11 and push back to the downside, at which point you have a clear defined risk. Whatever that high was above 11, your risk is that, and you're entering to the downside and enjoying it. So watching how this one plays out. NIO, I'm gonna put it on the watch, but don't really have a play unless it really pulls back into this range 550 and holds 550 or 560. I'm not really looking to do anything with NIO at all. Li Auto looks interesting because that one is a big gap up. You can see how we took out a solid resistance range and basically broke out to the high side, going into what seems to be that's a solid anchored VWAP for it to reject going into. I mean, that is a monster move. Li Auto most likely also setting up for a juicy short. I'll be honest with you, the higher this one goes, the better the short is on Li Auto. So watching this one without a doubt. Haven't traded these Chinese EV stocks in a long time. I forgot they even existed. Thank you, John Juan. Prad, still like to hear your thoughts on Zim closing right at the major resistance price we spoke about a few times. I talked about it. You probably weren't here. I have it on my watch list. If it breaks out of that resistance, I'm going to take a look at it for the long on the day trade. If it rejects at this resistance, I'm going to look for a short on the day trade. Pretty simple opportunity there. The fact that it has been bouncing back and forth and increasing volume gets me excited for a day trade opportunity without a doubt. So watching it, just not a high priority name unless it does something with the 24 area. If it can't do 24, then I'm not really cared about it. Can it be worth 5 times? I mean, I'm not a long-term guy. If you want to ask a long-term question like that, you should ask your boy Victor. Victor is the one who will be your go-to. He teaches me how to invest at the moment. I've had him on my stream once. I'll have him on my stream again. He actually talked about how Zim went up 50% for him or something. In 8 weeks, he made about 8 grand on it. So yeah, go check out his streams. It's Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. What happened to KHC, and will this rebound at $34.50? I think KHC's Kraft Heinz and Kraft Heinz catalyst was they have a competition now, right? They have competition versus Mr. Beast Lunchables. Apparently Mr. Beast Lunchables cost less than or not cost, they're healthier than. Let me try to find the links for you guys real quick. Okay, here we go. So KHC, Kraft Heinz, which makes those Ritz crackers, pizza Lunchables that kids usually carry to their school boxes and so on, usually carries what, 7 grams of protein for KHC, 450 grams of calories per package, 55 grams of electrolytes or milligrams of electrolytes, and 22 grams of sugar per package, whereas Mr. Beast and Logan Paul and KSI, their package will contain a lot less of the bad stuff and a lot more of the good stuff apparently. So you're basically getting a small feastable bar, a Ritz cracker sandwich, or a pizza or whatever, or a nacho sandwich or whatever, and you're also getting a little prime bottle in it without the caffeine. Basically they're teaming up and they're going against Kraft Heinz. I believe that was the original catalyst that brought down the stock. Competition that most likely they will lose because of the brand recognition that Mr. Beast, even after the whole thing with Mr. Beast happened, with Ava Tyson and so on. Mr. Beast still has that big brand behind him. So does Logan Paul. So does the KSI. The Prime brand behind him is huge. So KHC could be taking a little bit of a beating from that. Also, what I'm seeing is Friday, KHC actually seems to have been dumped by the S&P 500 index. Not sure if they deleted it from the index or what they did with it, but it looks like they actually sold off some shares on Kraft Heinz from the index. Maybe it was never on the index to begin with, but look at that big volume spike over there, showing you that the move actually was downside, so not looking good for the future. Maybe KHC not looking so good for the future. I'd be careful. I'd be careful if I was invested in KHC. Lol, hustling kids to make money. Who am I hustling? Oh, they're hustling kids to money. I gotcha. I thought you said I'm hustling kids to make money. I'm like, who's the kid in my stream? Who am I hustling? I'm not asking for money from anybody. What am I doing here? But no, you're talking about Logan Paul, Feastables, and them hustling kids for money, indeed. Let's quickly go back to Liotto to talk about how to look for a potential short. Looks like today's high near 25. Ooh, I like that, it rhymes. Today's high near 25. If it starts finding some rejection, we're looking to slam that stock to the downside. But that is basically the Chinese sector. I want to quickly talk about the XLF sector, the financial sector, pulling back from the all-time high double top. A little bit of weakness setting into the sector over here. Looks like Wells Fargo sold off, Citibank sold off, JP Morgan not so much, Goldman Sachs not so much. So two of them held okay, but two of them pulled back pretty decently. So watching how banks sector plays out, if all of the banks starts pulling back to the downside, then the main one that we're going to focus on will be Charles Schwab, because Charles Schwab has a beautiful level here on the daily, and if we break this level, the explosiveness to the downside really opens up on Charles Schwab. That could be a swing trade. That could be an investment for the short side if you think the banks are really crumbling again. But you know, banks should not crumble because the economy is doing better, right? Gold is at an all-time high again. Gold breaking out to a monster all-time high today, up 1.4%. So banks shouldn't struggle, right? Income rates are going down though. That should be bad for banks because they're going to be making less money. We'll see what, not income rates, interest rates. Sorry, interest rates are going down. So technically banks should be making a little bit less money than they were previously. But overall, we just care about the XLF sector and Charles Schwab. So if XLF continues to keep pulling back, find some weakness below 45, then I think Charles Schwab will be descending towards that 61 area, at which point we'll be waiting patiently waiting to make a trade. Snowflake, not really looking to make a trade on this one tomorrow. Maybe if it pushes into this range consolidation high of 115, then I'll make a decision. But the way the stock bounced off of 110 today, the way the stock bounced off of 110 yesterday, reclaiming that 107 area that we made in the pre-market and then moving back up, it's just not looking that bearish at the moment. The stock looks like it wants to go back up. You know, they're taking on more debt, but that also means they have some money that they can put to use. How do they put the money to use is the big question, and only time will tell. We don't know what that is, but them taking on more debt is not necessarily that bearish of a news for a company who already is making money, so they can kind of pay that debt back. So it depends on what they do with this debt. Are they making money? I believe they are. Yeah, only 18 cents per quarter is horrible, but you know, they are making money at the end of the day. Snowflake, let's see how they actually set up. At the moment, I'm going to step back on this position. PLCE looked like it was going to ramp up to 20 and past 20, but it never really did anything. It rejected off of that area and actually pulled back. We still have a solid range over here on PLCE. It will be interesting to see how the stock reacts for the next few days. Now, telling you guys to get short PLCE is never a good idea, but that's what I'm looking for. If you are looking to swing trade, be careful swing trading short any name, because any news on any position could come out and they could absolutely burn you on that one, right? So you want to be very careful swing trading short any stock. You want to make sure that you're applying proper risk management and you know exactly where to take your loss, you know exactly where to get out and so on. If you don't know that, just stay out from it. Stay out from it. I, however, I'm not swinging it. I'm looking for a day trade, so I'm just looking for a quick scalp, see how the stock reacts. Is it going to find some selling in the key areas? Is it going to find buying in the key areas? For me, the key area right now is $18, so I'm playing $18 under over. If we're above 18 bucks, I'm not looking short. If we're below 18 bucks, I'm looking short. It's pretty for me. Above 18, we do have the $20 area where the stock kind of rejected off of from today, so I'm not gonna give it that $2 risk above 18. If 18 is chopping me, I'm just gonna take a couple hits and I'm gonna walk back from it. Then I'll wait for 20 to come into play, or I'll wait for 17 to break, and then for us to get below 17 for it to really get ripe. But I'm not gonna, you know, make too many decisions around 18 if it's just chopping around 18. You want to make sure that you're studying how that action plays out also. Okay, guys, I actually learned that... Oh. Okay, I messed up. Hopefully you guys are back. Did you guys get hit with an advertisement? Are you guys back? Let me know when you guys are back so I can start talking again. Hopefully you guys didn't get hit with an advertisement. Victor says no. John says no. Okay, maybe not all of you got hit with an ad, but maybe some of you got hit with an ad because I hit the ad button. But apparently... Let me just put a zin in my mouth there. Apparently, putting your own ad rolls in is much better because YouTube sees that you're throwing ads on stream, and a commercial bank for a bank while you were just talking about banks. Hey, see, TH got a commercial. That's what I knew it. So I was saying, TH, you know, I'm going to try run at least one commercial a day or one ad a day just to grow my viewership. But because apparently the algo recognizes that you are actually playing an advertisement yourself instead of them having to play, so you're active, so they actually bring viewers and put your stream more out there, so that way they can display these ads to those viewers who are coming to your stream. So I'm gonna try having you know, at least one ad played for a day. Hopefully you guys don't get annoyed, and I'll do my best to not really talk about the market during that one ad moment. I think it's usually 30 seconds to a minute at best, and I think I can get back to the market now. But apparently that's built into the algorithm. That's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. So if you're a streamer on YouTube, you should also think about running at least 1 to 3 ads an hour. 1 to 3 ads an hour at the very least. Potentially all 3 every hour at the top of the hour. Every hour at the top of the hour you run 3 ads, and then you don't run ads anymore, and that will trigger the algorithm to give more viewers, send more viewers to you. This is a test we're gonna have to do. Either I lose my 8 viewers who watch me every single day, or we gain more viewers in the long run. I have the paid version of YouTube, so I don't see ads, says Victor. Yeah, I have YouTube Premium too. YouTube Premium is the way to go. Ever since I got YouTube Premium, I actually stopped paying for Spotify. I know you, Victor, are a big Spotify fan. I used to be a #1 Spotify fan, okay? I promise you I have a playlist. I can actually bring in the playlist right here. Let me open up Spotify real quick. It has, how many songs does this playlist have? Let's see. This playlist has 3,376 songs, total of 174 hours and 21 minutes of songs on that playlist, okay? So I'm a big fan of Spotify until YouTube Premium came out, and then Joe Rogan stopped doing his podcast Spotify only. Now his content is everywhere. So ever since that happened, I said, okay, my need for Spotify basically dies out over here. I'm a streamer on YouTube. I can listen to songs on YouTube. I can get a bunch of benefits on YouTube Premium for my phone. You get a nice little small floating window for YouTube Premium. You can play YouTube while your screen's off, which is really useful for me at bedtime because I have something playing in the back every night when I'm going to bed. So that's also beneficial for me. So YouTube Premium basically eliminated my need for Spotify completely. Don't get me wrong, I still love Spotify. It was my first ever platform that I paid for, first ever monetization platform that I paid for. I hold it very dear to my heart, very, very dear. But YouTube is the best now, man. YouTube is the best. Continuing down the watch list, I'm looking at LUNR. So LUNR, if we're playing the same idea as PLCE, there's an under-over on the stock, and the under-over is basically $7.30. If the stock gets below $7.30 and is not able to find buying above it at all, we are getting ready for a monster short on LUNR, all the way back potentially for a gap close into $6, $5.50. So looking for that move back to the downside. But if we continue to hold 730 and we actually do it for a couple days in a row, then this gets ready for another run up to the north side. So LUNR, keep this one on your watch list. Don't remove this one at all. Make sure you're watching it. Wow, FDX with a nice run up today, 3.2% to the run upside, but I'm not really looking to trade FDX at all. Coinbase, Bitcoin looked like it wanted to go up over here. Bitcoin was up a little bit on the day, but Bitcoin really needs to break out above 65k in my opinion for me to start looking at Coinbase and MSTR. Coinbase right now consolidating a little bit above the most recent low that it had. MSTR trying to take out the most recent highs. So both of them kind of doing their own thing. Bitcoin getting above 65k will really get that stock active. Let's head over to Apple, because this one is going to be a fun stock for me tomorrow. If we can actually get below this hourly low that we put in on Monday. So you can see that Monday's low was basically today's low. So if we can get below that 2 days low, which is 225.85, 226, if we can get below 226, 225.85 and stay under that, that opens up room straight into what, 221, and even room below 221 all the way into this field value gap pocket of what is that, 225, so sorry, 215. So that's a big room to the downside. And I'm not saying that'll happen in one day. Maybe we get a move over here for one day and then something like this, and the next day we get a move over here and something like that. So expecting a multi-day short setting up on Apple if we get below this 225 area. But if we don't get below this 225, 225, 85 to 226 support area, then you know, easy long once again, because now that will be a 3-day hold off that very same price. Holding that price for 3 days. What more do you want to get long? What more do you want to get long? Amazon. I'm only waiting at 200 for Amazon. Is Bezos still selling at 200? That's the only question I care about. If we go into this 200 area and we're struggling to take out 200, 201, Bezos is still selling. If we're not, then Bezos is done selling, and same thing that happened to Nvidia will happen to Amazon also. So watch that one. Google was pretty weak yesterday, was also weak a little bit today. We actually broke yesterday's low and then we popped back up. I mean, ended positive, but not really. I don't really care about Google. Microsoft below 430 is going to be pretty significant. If you go to Microsoft on the hourly chart, you can see MSFT. You can see that right there. What last week's low, Wednesday's low, was 430.50, and we basically pop into that 430.50 area and reject off of that. So off the open we flush, then we pop, then we reject off of that 430.50, and then we go right back to the downside. So staying under that 430.50 tomorrow on Microsoft potentially opens up more downside room. This has been one of the weaker stocks for the last few days, and if the market is looking weak, that means short under 430, short under 430.50 on Microsoft should give you monster returns, almost a $10 ATR return on this position. So this one Usually not one that I keep on my watch list to trade, but keeping this one on the watch list this time for sure. Meta has somewhat of an hourly bottom over here, somewhere into 561. So getting under 561 on Meta could open up downside, but continuing to stay above 561, you could potentially look for a long, especially if the market is strong. Then get the fuck long on Meta 561 or higher, right? Easy long on Meta, because Meta has been one of the strongest stocks on the Magnificent Seven in the recent past. Tesla being one of them too, but Meta has been the strongest. Notice how Tesla basically bounced off of Monday's high over here. So that is a beautiful level now. Monday's high, today's low. That's a little bit of a pocket that you're watching to see how it plays out. If we start getting below this pocket, you got a potential short. If we continue to hold this pocket, you got a potential long. So market, what do I think about the overall market? It's hard to be bearish, guys. It's hard to be bearish. I mean, if you look at the FOMC anchored VWAP, we're basically finding support every time off the FOMC anchored VWAP at the moment. The August low anchored VWAP was flattening out, but even that is curling up. Usually when an anchored VWAP is flattening out, or any VWAP is flattening out, it indicates a change in trend. So usually an anchor VWAP is either straight up or straight down. Let's say if the trend is in that direction, if the trend is straight up, the VWAP is straight up. But once the VWAP starts to flatten out, then that means the stock is having some struggle into the highs that it's at, and most likely it's going to pull back into the VWAP to find some demand and buyers and so on. But on the longer term chart, it's way more in play. So when the anchor VWAP is flattening out, usually indicates a change in trend. We got that change in trend, and then that change in trend changed again back to the upside, showing you another curl back up on that VWAP anchor. Even the year-to-date anchored VWAP is now looking to curl back up. The FOMC anchored VWAP is showing you support. So it's just too strong at the moment for a little bear to even think bearish. I mean, the S&P 500 is at all-time highs. How crazy do you have to be to even think short on the market at the moment, right? The diamonds, the DIA, the Dow Jones, the diamonds are also at the all-time high. So it's ridiculous to try and push shorts. So if you are looking to push shorts, make sure it's at a very calculated level, you know, on a stock that's actually being weaker, like a sector that's actually being weaker. You can use scanners out there like Trade Ideas. Shout out to Trade Ideas, they're my affiliate sponsor. Go check them out in the description below. You get 15% off by using Prad 15. They have amazing scanners on the browser mode. They have amazing scanners on the browser mode. Let me actually hide my screen here because I'm gonna have to log in real quick. Know my ID and password. All right, I don't know my ID and password, so I have it set up over here, but if I open this, I can't log into the browser mode. So I'm just gonna ignore that one and just talk about how good the software is, because you can use it to scan what sector is the strongest on the day. There's also free scanners out there that you can go ahead and use. I think Finviz is a free scanner, actually free heat map. So if you go to Finviz heat maps and just go to exchange traded funds, you can see which ETF is actually strong on the day, which ETF is weak on the day. Obviously the SQQ, which is the inverse of the QQQ, is red on the day because the QQQ is green. Gold, the GDX, GLD, up 1.4%, silver up 5%. So you know, the mining companies are probably ripping on the day. Gold ETF was ripping on the day. This can help you identify what sector is weak. Then you can go and find out what stock in that sector is weak, and then look to take advantage of that, right? So use scanners out there to your advantage. Don't be in the shadow realm when you're trading. Scanners, very important, especially if you're a day trader. Very, very important. So being bearish on the market, pretty hard, I'll be honest, but hey, that's not going to stop me to look for the shorts. Li Auto, XPEV, I think I'm getting ready to short the shit out of them. Zim, if it struggles around 24 and 25, I'm looking to short that stock without a doubt. But if it starts showing buying above 24 and 25, that sets up for a monster long over there. We have a bunch of other stocks over here that we mentioned on the day: Palantir, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, TSM, AVGO. So tons of names were hit on. Hopefully we talked about a stock that you wanted to talk about. Stocks are expensive. says Victor. I mean, stocks only go up, right, Victor? Stocks only go up. Stocks will have a good correction in 2024. Well, we do have October, 1 full month before election. So we'll see what happens. Does Trump try to get assassinated for the third, fourth, fifth time? Do they actually succeed? Do they fail? Does Trump actually end up winning? Who's actually in the seat of the winning race at the moment? Who's on the winning horse right now? Let's go take a look at that. We're using our good friends at Polymarket. We actually are not affiliated with Polymarket at all. What is this? Election forecast, presidential election. 48% for Trump and 50% for Kamala Harris. Kamala, if she's Indian, but Kamala if she's you know, not Indian. All right, there we go. So looks like she's back. She's back in the winning numbers. 48% to Trump. It's pretty tied. It's pretty tied. But you know, we'll see what happens. They only go up except in 2022. That's a good point. Yep, that is a good point. Stocks only did go up until 2022. And then they had a big downside on the market. Big downside. But how big was that pullback though? It's like 15-20% pullback. Where was it? %40 pullback. Yikes! 40% pullback. Jesus. Then it took no time to get that back. By 25%, NASDAQ 38%, says Victor. I mean, those are pretty insane numbers. Anytime the market goes down 10%, which we did in the most recent, what I call the August depression. In the August depression, we did trigger bear market. Anytime the market pulls back by 10%, we trigger bear market. But the August recession only lasted 10 days. The August recession lasted 10 days. That's it. And then you had the market reversing 14% back up. You had the S&P 500 breaking all-time highs. So how can you be bearish? You know, it's just so hard. It's so hard to be bearish. Not gonna stop me though. Not gonna stop me. I'm Junior Michael Burry. I'm Prad Burry, baby. Prad Burry, always screaming short, short, short. Send the market down so I can invest in the market. Basically, that's my story. Send it back down another 20%, 30% so I can buy it and enjoy this ride to the upside. And I can now become Investor Prad and no longer Trader Prad. So I can be Investor Prad and no longer Trader Prad. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's basically all she wrote for today. Make sure you tune in tomorrow because we have a bunch of IPOs to get ready for. Today is the 24th, tomorrow 25th. IPOs are on the 26th and the 27th. So make sure you come in tomorrow, 8 o'clock. We're going to be researching what these companies do. Do they make money? Are they profitable? You know, do they give any opportunities to day trade? So we're going to talk about these stocks for tomorrow, and then along with that we're gonna have our watch list and all other stocks that we take a look at: Palantir, Apple, all the other fun stuff. And if you have any stocks that you want us to take a look at, make sure you bring that tomorrow, 8 o'clock, Monday to Thursday, 8 o'clock. Let's quickly take a look at the economic calendar before we call it a night. Not really seeing anything too important for my crude oil traders, for my CL futures, my XLE, my XOM, CVX traders, Victor, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. You know, if you're looking for CVX, XOM opportunities, you could get some potentially tomorrow at 10:30. Every Wednesday, 10:30, crude oil inventories. Every Thursday, you get natural gas at the same time. So watching to see if those markets make a little bit of a spike or a sell-off at the 10:30 marker. Potential scalp opportunities there. New home sales, 10 o'clock. Those usually move LEN and Home Depot and Lowe's. So if you're looking to trade anything around 10 o'clock, around the new home sales number, make sure you're watching that one. Black gold, says Victor, for 10:30. I like it. Texas tea, black gold. These are actually amazing. I don't know if I've ever heard these before. I'm pretty sure I've heard black gold, but I've never heard Texas tea. That's amazing. Texas tea reports at 10:30. New home at 10 o'clock. Nothing really that might move the market tomorrow, looks like. We do have a 5-year bond auction note coming at 1 o'clock, and FOMC member talking when the market closes, so not really too much of an importance to that one. But the bond auction note, the higher the bond auction time period, the more importance it has on the market. So the 5-year a little important, but the 10-year, the 20-year, the 30-year way more important. So those will probably come this week or next week or so on. But tomorrow, nothing really that I can see can shake the market to the downside or move the market really to the upside. So it's going to be all very dependent on what the market wants to do. We do have a very spicy election coming up in November. That could make the market spicy again. So even if October gets sleepy, as September has been a little bit, I guess I shouldn't say September has been sleepy. We did have a nice sell-off in September, and then a big run-off to the upside in September also. So however, September going into the end right now is a little bit slower. Volume has been lacking on the market slightly. So if that picks up in October going into election, that's going to be spicy. So let's get ready for that and all that fun stuff that entails, ladies and gentlemen. All that fun stuff that entails. Good show, Prad. See you tomorrow. I smashed the like. Thank you, John. Ladies and gentlemen, do what John did and help your boy out by trying to grow this channel. All it takes is a simple like, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. But hit the like, and if you can also do me a big favor, drop a comment in the comment section once the live stream is over, because that also goes into the algorithm. So if you can do that, that's also another big help for me. I appreciate you guys for watching me Monday to Thursday, 8 p.m. Check out the links below in my description. Shout out to my affiliate sponsors, Benzinga, Trade Ideas, and TraderSync. Use code PRAD15 at the checkout. Also follow me on all my social medias if you haven't already, to stay up to date on when I go live or if I go live, because some Sundays I do have events that causes me to not go live. All that fun stuff aside, time to call it a night. I'm gonna go get some food in me. I'll get you guys tomorrow. TraderPrad out. Good luck on the markets. Also, see you guys at 9 a.m. in Victor's chat. Make sure you check out Victor's streams. Hit the subscribe on his stream too. He has gold content, amazing content every single morning, 9 a.m. Check him out. I'm out. Peace. Deuces. Adios. Across the board. Tech basket. Get destroyed. Get ready for trade off of. Get ready for the watch list for tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm gonna bring in my big screen over here. Back to another brand new week of After the After Hours with your host TraderPrad. I'm doing great. Hopefully you guys are joining me on that great side. Markets are moving around. Might just be a risk on type of day, so let's see what happens. 8 o'clock tomorrow. As you guys know, we do the stream Monday to Thursday, 8 p.m. Shout out to my affiliate sponsors, Benzinga, Trade Ideas, the #1 scanner to go to, TraderSync, promo code down below, promo code PRAD15 to get 15% off. I will catch you guys tomorrow, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. Until then, TraderPrad out. Adios.